So, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the other side of Rock Bottom. I'm your host, Kathy, and tonight we're sitting down with someone whose story is both heartbreaking and incredibly inspiring. Jordan's journey through addiction, mental health struggles, and trauma has taken many dark turns, but today she's walking in the light. I know her story is going to touch your hearts just as it does mine. So, welcome, Jordan.
Hi,
How are you this evening?
I'm great. I'm so honored that you asked me to do this. Thank you.
Hey, kid, I've known you for a minute now and I know your story, and I'm really honored that you did this for me. So let's just jump right into it, kiddo. Um, let's start with what life was like growing up. What was your childhood like?
So, a lot of the times when you hear someone's story in the rooms, you hear like all these tragic, terrible things, and you're like, oh, it kind of makes sense. That wasn't my story. My childhood was as close to perfect as it gets. My parents were fantastic. They are fantastic. They are still together to this day. I had three brothers. We weren't rich, but we didn't want for anything. We used a lot of imagination, and I really I can't not that it's anyone's fault that I turned out how I did, but I really can't blame anybody because our life was amazing. We took a vacation every year as a family to the shore. We had traditions. Um, Nothing could have prepared anyone for what ended up happening in my life, is basically what I'm getting at.
All right. So, did substance or mental health come first in your story?
Um, the chicken or the egg, right? Honestly, I, for the longest time, thought it was substance first, but now in retrospect, hindsight's 2020. I definitely had the isms long before I picked up a drink or a drug. I definitely had the disease of Moore. I definitely had, now I know, which is some OCD tendencies. I struggled with perfectionism, holding myself to a standard that was impossible. And once I found booze, I was able to calm that all down, take it down a level. So I didn't realize it, but I was medicating my mental health with alcohol.
Okay. All right. So, everything you say growing up was great, no signs of trauma or dysfunction or anything along those lines, just a great childhood. All right, so let me ask you this then. When did substances enter your story and become part of it?
I remember the very first time I had a drink. It was the summer between eighth grade and freshman year. I was at a friend's house. Well, it was her older sister's house, and it was a party, and they had Jello shots, and I didn't know any better. They were feeding me Jello shots, didn't think anything of it, and I had that wow moment once it hit, like, wow, this feels great, and I knew immediately that I would be chasing that for a long time. And I can honestly say, from that first time until every time up until I got sober, there was never a time where I had one. Never, not once.
Kind of makes me think of that saying, one's too many and a thousand's not enough, right?
Exactly.
For sure. All right, so, I know alcohol creeped in, took hold. What was your lowest point? What was your rock bottom?
So, rock bottom is a funny thing for me because I don't know if you've ever heard, they say like rock bottom has a trap door. So there were so many instances in my life that people, my family, friends, whoever, they were like, this is it. This is definitely her rock bottom. Like this has to be the end for her. I'm talking jails, hospitals, institutions, being told I'm in liver failure. And none of that was my bottom. That's the crazy thing. I drank through all of those things. And honestly, the day that I surrendered was one of the calmest days of my life. I wasn't in jail. I wasn't in a hospital. Nothing was overly wrong to the outside looker, but I was at a point where I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. Like I was so sick of myself. I knew that I just couldn't continue the way that I was going.
What emotions were you experiencing during that time?
Failure, like I said earlier, I was such a perfectionist growing up, and knowing how much I destroyed in my life and my family's life with my addiction, was really, really hard for me to accept, to just propelled that wanting to numb everything out. But one thing I felt that I ended up finding out later in the rooms was a gift is I felt desperate. I had the gift of desperation. And I remember the first time I heard someone say that, and it was like a light bulb went off like, wow, I did feel desperate, but it saved my life.
Right. Right. All right. So was there a moment where you thought, I don't want to live like this anymore? You said that day was kind of peaceful. What happened? Talk me through it.
So, the thought wasn't necessarily, I don't want to live like this anymore. The thought was more, I don't want to live anymore if this is what my life is going to be like. I knew that there was two options for me: get sober and fix my life, or not be here at all, because I wasn't just taking me down, I was taking my son, my parents, everyone who cared about me down with me. And it was, when they say that addiction is a family disease, it sure was for us.
Yeah,
I affected everybody.
it sure does. I mean, I know in my family, it's 4 generations already now. From my grandfather, my father, me, and now my kids. And I pray it stops there. So, all right. So let me ask you this: what helped you begin turning things around? What did you do?
So I actually, I have to bring this up just because in the grand scheme of things, it seems like not an important moment, but it was a turning point for me. At my last job, my boss, I was very close with her. We were friends outside of work, and this is when I was really in bad shape. I was really jaundiced. I was very thin. And I came into work one day, and she was like, can I talk to you in the office? And I was like, yeah, sure. And she straight up told me, she said, I'm telling you this because I love you. You look horrible. You cannot come to work. You have to go see a doctor. And that ended up leading me to being in the hospital for months, like very, very sick, being told that I wasn't going to live, that I was in liver failure. And I truly think I didn't stop drinking right then, but I truly think that was my God moment that propelled me into, because it's one thing for your family to say you're messed up, or like, like the people who really know you, but for someone who sees it from the outside to have the courage to point it out to you, it really opened my eyes.
So that was kind of a God moment for you, huh?
Absolutely. And to this day, it's been a little over 7 years since that. To this day, I still share about her in meetings. Every time we read to the employer in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, I always bring her up because I do feel that she played a huge part in saving my life.
That's amazing. All right. So what gave you hope in those early days? What kind of gave you kept you going?
Honestly, the biggest thing would probably be that I was able to show up for my son. My son plays travel baseball. Obviously, he goes to school, he's got events at school. And I was finally the mom that was there, and not just physically present, but mentally and emotionally present. And that was a huge deal considering the damage that I could have done for how I acted around him and his friends and their parents before that. So I was truly, truly lucky. But also, I have to really, really give so much credit to my mom, so much credit. She never, never, not once, no matter how bad it got, and it was so bad, she never gave up. And in those early days, if someone was cheering me on, it was her. You need to go to 20 meetings this week, I'll watch your son go.
Mm-hmm.
And it made the difference. It really did. You want to go to IOP 4 times a week? Go, I'll watch your son.
Wow, that's amazing. So what did the early days of recovery look like for you? Were you in treatment, meetings, therapy, what?
So I went to detox first. Again, not the first time I went to detox, but that's how this one started. And sadly enough, I actually drank the day I got out of detox because they told me they didn't have a bed for me anywhere. And I felt so deflated and hopeless. But they ended up calling me the next day, and they had a bed. So I went there very drunk, unfortunately. But then I was in treatment, and at 30 days, they were ready to release me. And I told them, I said, I've done this before. 30 days isn't enough. I need more. it's going to be the repeating cycle if you just release me to the world. So I stayed there for a few more weeks, and then they released me to IOP. And this is how much of a perfectionist I am. I did IOP for a whole year. Most people only do it for like 30, 60, maybe 90 days.
90 days.
But I really felt I needed it. Like I needed that accountability. Having those drug tests, having people check in with me, it really made a huge difference. And I definitely was going to AA very heavy at that time.
Okay. What was the hardest part of staying clean?
Hmm. The hardest part of staying clean. Probably I would have to say, obviously, all the emotions, dealing with the emotions, it's like this backlog of 15, 20 years of emotions that I haven't dealt with. But also, one of the things that was a little different for me is I was in a living situation where the other people that I was living with still were drinking on a regular basis.
Mm.
And now looking back, I see it as like, wow, I made it through that. Like I must have really been serious. But
Yeah.
it's really funny because actually on my 1 year anniversary, my therapist, her and I are very close. She didn't mean any harm by this, but she said to me, honestly, I never thought you'd make it to a year because of your living situation.
Oh,
So,
wow.
but I did. And I lived there for 5 more years after that. And it's not about it obviously people, places, and things do affect us, but it's what's in here. It's what's in here
Right.
that is driving me to stay sober, regardless of those things around me.
What started your emotional and spiritual and mental healing? How did that come about?
So I actually, I had been going to church way before I got sober. Church is a big part of my story. I am not like uber religious. I'm a spiritual person. Um, and that's another person who played a big part in the beginning of my sobriety. My pastor, Pastor Marty, he, when I tell you I was going to church before I got sober, I was showing up there hungover, drunk, in really bad shape. But he saw something in me. He knew I wanted to be saved, and he always made it a point to talk to me. I probably smelled like booze. I probably looked horrible. He always made it a point to make me feel like I belonged there. So that was a big part of the spiritual journey. I pray constantly. He's probably so tired of hearing from me because it's all the time. But it's important to me. It's really important to me. I have to stay on fit spiritual ground or I'm right back out there. So
Yes.
church had a big thing to do with it. Therapy, my AA family, all of those things were a huge part of my healing in the beginning.
Okay. So AA sounds like it was really big for you.
Hmm.
All right. Church, definitely. Yeah. I know my higher power definitely plays a leading role in my recovery as well. So, kiddo, what does life look like today for you?
So life today, it's not all rainbows and unicorns, of course, but I am so incredibly blessed. I If you would have asked me when I was 29 before I got sober, first of all, most people didn't think I was going to make it until 30, and I'm closer to 40 now. But if you would have asked me, if my relationships with my family would be repaired, if my son, thought I was a good mom, and I wouldn't have been able to say yes to any of those questions. And now, first of all, my relationship with my mom is just amazing. She was always there, but we are best friends now. My son he's 6, he just turned 16. He's learning how to drive. He doesn't want to drive with anybody but me, which is horrible on my nerves, but it just goes to attest to how he feels around me. He feels calm around me. He trusts me. 8 years ago, he couldn't trust me. In a car, especially, he couldn't trust me. So, yeah, all of those things.
Wow, man. So you got your family back, your son, it's beautiful. So what are you most proud of since getting clean and sober?
Honestly, there's a few things. First, I would probably say my 12-step work, giving back to AA and other people outside of AA, I was always told that I have to give away what was so freely given to me. That's the only way that I can keep it. So, you know, through sponsorship, I'm the treasurer for my AA home group. I've worked with a couple of different nonprofits who help in the addiction community. Those have all been really, really big things for me. Um, and also, you know, just the normal things. I bought a car a few years ago. It's in my name. I
Mhm.
pay it every month. Um, this is my apartment. I have not been evicted from it. I pay my rent every month. You know, like the normal things that in addiction seem so unattainable. I'm holding a job for a long period of time. My coworkers actually like me. I actually show up to work.
Right.
Um, those are all accomplishments in my eyes.
Wow. Honey, you are such an inspiration. So let me ask you this. If you could talk to the old you, or let's say somebody who's watching this today that might be still struggling, what would you say to them?
Lean harder on God. I know that's hard for some people to get behind, and I think it was easier for me because I did have a belief long before I got sober, but God can do for you what you cannot do for yourself, but you have to be ready and willing. You have to seek him. Um, I think that was a lot of the problem where when I was out there in active addiction, I believed in God and I wanted to be better, but I didn't seek him. I didn't pray. I didn't connect with him. I wanted to just say, hey, God, make me better, and him to make me better. And that's not how it works,
Right,
unfortunately, or everyone would be better.
right, right. Well, finally, honey, I'm gonna ask you, what does the other side of rock bottom mean for you today?
uh, Peace, gratitude, honesty. Um, you know, you don't have to remember so much when you're not lying to everybody. That's a big thing. And you know, I think back, actually for my 5 year anniversary, I made this slideshow and I titled it, all the things that I would have missed if I didn't get sober. And it was just pictures from the first 5 years. And I would have missed the best parts of my life if I didn't get sober and stay alive, really. Um, my relationship with my son, my relationship with my family, all of the best things. I celebrated 7 years at the beginning of the month, and all of the best things in my whole entire life have happened in these last 7 months, or I'm sorry, 7 years.
Yeah.
And you know, someone wants to marry me in sobriety. That is not something that could have happened in my addiction, because I destroyed every relationship I had, especially the romantic ones.
Okay, I'm speechless. Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you so
Awesome.
much. Thank you.
Wow, what a way to end this episode.
Thank
Congratulations.
you so much.
Listen, Jordan, thank you for being so raw, so real, and so full of courage tonight. Your story reminds us that healing is possible and that no matter how far down we go, we can always come back. Guys, if Jordan's story has touched you, please like, comment, and share this video. And don't forget to subscribe to The Other Side of Rock Bottom, where we break the stigma and shine a light on the beauty of recovery. Good night.